Hey, what's up guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Frank Mularcik, and in this video, we're going to be continuing the spreadsheet series here on this channel and diving in to some of the data that I am calling from a Python function and inputting on a regular basis into my spreadsheet. So there are some things in my spreadsheet, some data points that I want to gather and be able to display, and it's not really easy or very convenient to get some of these with a simple Google Finance function call or some other formula there. And so what I did was I developed a Python script that interacts with the Gspread library, which is basically a REST API that allows you to communicate with the Google Drive and Google Sheets APIs and basically read and write data from your Google Sheets, which is basically what I use it for. And so the few data points that I'm gathering with this script are the ex-dividend date and the pay date. And I just like to be able to see when companies are going to be paying me, So the ex-dividend date is basically when you have to own the shares by in order to get the dividend, and then the pay date is when you're actually going to receive the dividend. So it looks like I got two more dividends coming up at the end of December, one from Lockheed Martin and the Travelers Company, so that will be pretty exciting. We can see those will be paid out pretty soon here. So I get these dates brought in from that Python script, which I'm going to show you guys in a minute. And then I also get the beta brought in from that Python script as well. And then the other data point I get is this 3-year CAGR here, which is the compound annual growth rate for the dividend. And I was able to get the payout ratio, but just the data source I had at the time, just comparing it to other websites and resources online, it didn't seem super duper accurate, so I sort of took that out of the script for now. But I guess I still have that column in my spreadsheet from the one time I did use that. And then the last thing we do down here is we actually write the date that it's been updated, and that basically just lets me look and know quickly that the script is still running and then it's working. Basically, I can check when it last ran essentially just by seeing this, because at the end of the script it updates this date value to whenever the current time is, and so that is basically the values that I'm updating. The one other thing I did want to say is I'm using a Cron Job on my Raspberry Pi to run this every day. I think I talked about this in one of my previous videos. I'll probably leave a link to that in the description below, but I'm using a cron job, and I basically run this script every single day, sometime in the evening, I think, and that just allows me to make sure I have the most up-to-date information. So now we're actually going to look at the script itself, and this is basically looking through VNC Viewer on my Raspberry Pi, which is pretty cool because I'm at my parents' house right now over Christmas break, and I'm able to basically view my Raspberry Pi, which is in my apartment in Cincinnati, and be able to interact with it. So that's a really cool technology, I guess. It's probably pretty basic, but I find it pretty cool. So this is a basic script. I have some import functions up here. I've talked about a lot of these in the past videos that I've done on Python, and then I've just made some functions to make some stuff a little bit easier. And then this thing right down here, these few lines are just authorization for my Google account and authorizing the basically this Python script to be able to read and write data to my Google account. And I made a video in the past, sometime last spring, about how to set up these credentials and authorize all that stuff. So if you guys do need some help there, you can definitely go check that out. The big thing here is you just need to use this credentials function here, and you just need to know the path to that file. You're basically going to download a credentials file from Google and from your Google account, and then you make sure you need to know the path of that and just put that in there, and then you'll be able to read that those credentials from that JSON file. And then here, basically the first thing I do is I'm checking essentially in my spreadsheet how many tickers I have, and basically what that's doing is I'm going for J in range 2 to 40, so basically from 2 to 39, and I'm just checking if the value is equal to none in the sheet of that row, column 1. And if we look in the sheet, that any row column 1 is just the ticker symbol. So basically what I'm looking here is until I get to this blank space here, because, if I add more companies to the portfolio, that, blank space will be lower and lower down. So every time I run the script, I need to dynamically find basically the last ticker symbol. And that's sort of why I have this space in here, because I don't want to do anything for cash, since that's kind of a special ticker symbol I created. It's not an actual ticker symbol, So that's how I find basically where, how many ticker symbols I'm going to do all these functions to. And basically what I do there is this row J, that's just saying the row of the last ticker symbol, and I'm just setting that equal to the current index in that loop. And then if there's nothing there, then I'm saying break out of that loop. So then what I'm doing is I'm actually looping through all of those values, the actual values I want to look at with ticker symbols, and I'm getting a bunch of data with this Yahoo Finance API, which is this SI, that's the Yahoo Finance API, that's what I called it. So first I need to get the ticker, so that's just in cell with row I, column 1, as we saw, and that's the value of that cell. So we get the ticker symbol, and then we can get these stats from that ticker symbol. So we just do si.get_stats with the ticker symbol, and we get basically a sort of data frame or list of different statistics, a bunch of different statistics relating to that stock. And then basically we just look at certain indexes that I've looked at before that I want. And so the ex-dividend date is in the value column, row 26. So that's where we get the ex-dividend date, and so on and so forth for the pay date, the dividend amount, and the beta value. And then basically what we're doing here is we're using this update cell function that I created. And what that does is it allows us to update the value. And the reason I put it in a separate function, I'll explain here. So I basically just pass the spreadsheet object, I pass the row, the column, and then the actual data I want to put in there. And then if we go up and look at this function, I'll explain it real quick. So basically what I'm doing is I'm just using this sheet.update_cell function, which is a Gspread function. And you pass it the row, the column, and then the value you want. But I have it in this try loop because Google Sheets and the Google API has a rate limit of 100 requests, read or write, per user per minute. And basically what I found is when I was doing other stuff on my Google account, like for example testing my Bitcoin trading bot that I've been working on, I was having problems where because I was testing that bot at the same time that this script was running, it was going over that rate limit and messing things up. So basically here I am basically just using a try block, and if there's an exception there caused by an excessive amount of requests, then I'm just going to wait a second and try again. And then when I actually get through that, then I'll just break out of this while loop. So that's pretty simple there, but it's a little bit nuanced because of the bit of restraints that Google puts on you, I guess. So I had to do that, and it's probably not perfect, but it's definitely better than it was before. So that's basically it. The other things here is for the actual dividend amount and the beta, I'm checking if it's like a float value, which means it's a number. And if it's not a float, then I'm just putting the pretty much just an empty value in there because it needs to be a float in order for that to be like a value or a valid, dividend amount or beta that I want to put in. So the reason for that is some companies might not pay a dividend. So in that case, it's going to give some kind of garbage data for the dividend value. And then also the beta is basically a 5-year monthly average of volatility. So for some stocks, I think the only one stock for me is Carrier Global. They haven't been trading on the stock market for 5 years. So their beta value is basically garbage as well. So I'm just trying to do a little bit of error handling there. And then down here is actually how I'm getting the dividend CAGR over the past 3 years. There's really nothing in the Yahoo Finance data that can give us that. We could try calculating it, but that gets into some complexities as well, when there's not enough history to go off of or something like that. So what I actually did is I'm just basically scraping this router's website and getting the dividend CAGR that they have listed, and I'm just scraping that and putting it into a float value basically, and then I'm updating the spreadsheet there with that value as well. And then down here, I'm just getting the date with this datetime.now function, and then I'm just updating the cell that the date is in so that we can see that updated date that basically says this is when the script ran and updated the spreadsheet last. So that's pretty much the whole script. Obviously, I skipped over some of the nuances, like each line of scraping this particular data, but that's not really as important, I guess. Obviously, you would have to figure out how to do that, or you could just kind of copy what I have. But the general ideas I wanted to cover was talking about the Gspread library and the update_cell function, and then also some of the nuances with that, such as the rate limits from Google. So we have to, check in there if, a exception is occurring. And you can see I am basically, whenever I'm using any calls from the Google API, I'm sleeping 1 second, which basically makes sure that we don't go over that limit in this script, but that really doesn't account for my whole Google account if I'm doing other things in other scripts. So that's why I have this try except block here. So that's to catch problems that could be created by multiple scripts running at the same time that cumulatively go over that rate limit. So that's basically what I wanted to share with you guys today. If you do have any questions, definitely make sure to leave them down in the comments below. I would be very interested to hear what you guys have to say, and definitely will try to help you out if I can. Also, if you have any suggestions for what else you want me to cover in the spreadsheet, I'm definitely going to be making some more videos, but if you have any specific questions or suggestions, I would love to hear that as well. And I just want to thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I will see you in the next one.